Good afternoon, and thanks for having us in. An investigation into a hit-and-run crash led to a frightening situation in a central Sioux Falls neighborhood. As an officer interviewed one of the people involved in the crash, a man came out of a house and started yelling at the officer to get off his sidewalk.
The suspect then made a threat that said, I'm going to make you leave my property. I went back in the house. Our officer continued to talk with the individual he was with. The suspect then came out of his house with a long gun. The officer wasn't sure if it was a shotgun or a rifle at that point, but identified it as a firearm.
That led to a standoff situation and eventually led to an arrest. The suspect, Tristan Deck, is scheduled to make his first court appearance in Sioux Falls. Deck faces several charges, including aggravated assault against an officer and having a firearm while intoxicated. We're learning new details this midday about a shooting and chase in central Sioux Falls that ended with 3 people behind bars. Police say they received reports of gunfire on Saturday in the area of 22nd Street and Main Avenue. Officers chased after the vehicle but called it off. Authorities found the vehicle abandoned nearby. Police set up a perimeter and arrested 3 people. Alexander Kuhl, Matthew Karshnick, and Timothy Cervantes are facing a long list of charges, including reckless discharge of a firearm, eluding police, and fleeing. Sioux Falls police say no one was hurt. Take a close look at this. Aberdeen police are currently looking for this man in connection with a fraud investigation. If you have any information that could help identify this man, contact Brown County authorities. Turning now to weather, it's a pleasant Monday out there, maybe cooler than recent Mondays we've had, right, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, low bar to clear. We've had to deal with a lot of really hot Mondays as of late, but still, it's very pleasant to be outside if you have the opportunity to do so. We'll kick things off, headed over to Huron. There's the water slides over there at the pool. Those are going to be pretty popular as we head later into the week. A 75 right now in Beadle County. You notice also, though, the sky above is a little milky. We are dealing with a bit of smoke in the atmosphere once again, so you will want to keep that in mind, especially if you are very sensitive to something like that. Meanwhile, in Aberdeen, 76 with a light and variable breeze in place. Some high-level cloud cover along with, again, a little bit of that smoke in the atmosphere. We're at 76 in Sisseton as well, 73 at the Capitol, 67 in Rapid City, 68 Valentine and Pine Ridge, 75 here in Sioux Falls and in Ortonville, 71 Yankton, Spencer, 74. But also notice the dew point. It is nice and low, mainly in the 40s, which is ideal, to say the least, for outdoor activities, so you don't feel like you're literally walking into the air. But we'll get to the dog days of summer in good time. For now, though, high pressure very much in control, keeping things quiet, pleasant, and mostly sunny as well. There's a little bit of cloud cover in the Nebraska Panhandle, southern Cherry County as well, but yeah, that's really about as close as anything gets. We're really getting nitpicky here at this point. It's just going to be about as close to a perfect day to get outside as possible. A light breeze, highs around 80, plenty of sunshine for southeastern KELOLAND. Yeah, this is some ideal stuff right here. Even either side of 80 up for northeastern KELOLAND as well, nearly identical. Light breeze out of the northwest and plentiful amounts of sunshine. Even to the west, it's pretty uniform, unless you're out toward the hills and Rapid City, where it's slightly cooler. Low to mid 70s compared to upper 70s and low 80s, but either way, it is still a fantastic start to the work week. Later in this work week, however, things do change. We'll talk about that coming up.
Thank you, Adam. An Associated Press analysis found that fraudsters potentially stole more than $280 billion in COVID-19 relief funding. Another $123 billion was wasted or misspent. Combined, the loss represents 10% of the $4.2 trillion the U.S. government has dispersed in COVID relief aid. Fraudsters use Social Security numbers of dead people to get unemployment checks, and some also collected benefits in multiple states. And federal loan applicants weren't cross-checked against a Treasury Department database that would have raised red flags about sketchy borrowers. Ukraine's military says they've recaptured the village of Blagodatny from Russia. This is in the Donetsk region. Over the weekend, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that counteroffensive and defensive actions were underway in his country. It came as Ukraine is reeling from the humanitarian crisis triggered by the Kakhovka Dam collapse. The Federal Railroad Administration is expected to release a report on its investigation into the February derailment of a Norfolk Southern freight train in Ohio soon. The agency now also says it will probe all the major freight railroads over the next year. According to the Federal Railroad Administration, in 2022 alone, there were 518 derailments nationwide, causing 5 injuries, 0 deaths, and more than $100 million in reported damage. Former U.S. President Donald Trump heads to Florida today ahead of his arraignment tomorrow in a Miami federal court. He's facing 37 felony criminal charges, including alleged repeated violations of the Espionage Act. Over the weekend, the former president, who is the current frontrunner in the 2024 Republican presidential field, blasted the charges. Christian Benavides reports from Doral, Florida.
On the campaign trail this weekend, former President Trump railed against the federal indictment as a political hit job.
This vicious persecution is a travesty of justice.
Among the 37 criminal charges Trump is facing, prosecutors say he illegally retained classified documents detailing U.S. nuclear weapons programs and documents with details about military activity and capabilities of both the U.S. and foreign countries.
If even half of it is true, then he's toast. I mean, it's a very detailed indictment, and it's very, very damning.
While Trump's former Attorney General William Barr dismissed characterizing this case as a witch hunt, Republican Senator Marco Rubio argued the indictment will cause certain harm to the country.
This will now put all of our institutions into tremendous crisis. The judge will be attacked, the process will be attacked, the Department of Justice will be attacked.
Officials here in Florida are preparing for possible protests with increased security. So far, the indictment doesn't seem to be impacting Trump's popularity with his base.
He's a very strong candidate. The more charges they put on him, the stronger he seems to get.
A CBS News poll released Sunday shows Trump continues to be the solid frontrunner in the race for the 2024 Republican nomination, with 61% support among likely GOP voters. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Doral, Florida.
In the poll, only 38% of likely Republican primary voters considered it a national security risk if Trump kept classified nuclear and military secrets, compared to 80% for the rest of the country.